welcome to Teleislas News with the most important news of the day.
The national government announced the signing of an agreement to solve the flooding problems of District 4 in the department.
The Ministry of Housing and the local government signed the Initiation Act of the project to update and complement the pluvial sewage master plan in a hydraulic basin for San Andrés, which will benefit the inhabitants of District 4.
Tenemos una gran noticia, la comunidad ya se firmó con Findeter.
We have great news for the community. The agreement for District 4 has already been signed with Findeter. These 6 months will be the stage of studies and designs, and also the purchasing of property to solve the definitive problem once and for all in District 4 in terms of rainwater drainage. Today, thanks to the efforts of Governor Everett Harkins, it has already been signed for District 4. We hope that by January of next year, work will begin to the pluvial drainage master plan because these 6 months will be spent on the study. Another point that we have already solved has to do with the issue of the pumping station operators. We already have 5 operators and 2 are missing. With God's favor, we are going to put that to work.
With the updating and complementation of the pluvial sewage master plan, which will benefit 13,676 inhabitants of the department, this project will have investment of $50,000 million to mitigate the risk of flooding due to rains. It is expected that this project will be completed and delivered in 2023.
In order to achieve the immunization of the island territory in its entirety, the Secretariat of Social Development, in joint work with the Red Cross, transported approximately 200 people with disabilities to the convention center of the Hotel Elisleño.
The Secretariat of Social Development, through its disability program, transported approximately 200 people with disabilities to the vaccination point, and 15 homeless people were brought to the convention center.
La directriz de nuestro señor gobernador Everett Harkins.
Under the directive of our Governor Everett Harkins Green, the objective was that no inhabitant of the department would be left without attending these massive vaccination sessions. There are people with disabilities who found it difficult to reach the convention center of the Hotel Elisleño, where the sessions were being held. So we made the decision to reach those neighborhoods and sectors where it was difficult for them to get to the convention center.
In the coming days, according to the Secretary, visits will be made to different homes of people with disabilities and elderly populations who find it difficult to attend these sessions, which the goal was to achieve herd immunity.
And the following is important information to keep in mind if you wish to get vaccinated and you were unable to do so during the mass vaccination day.
We inform all the community that since all the vaccination states have been unified in the islands, there will be no age restrictions for immunization. Therefore, those interested in getting vaccinated can go to the following points where they can take their first and second doses of AstraZeneca and Sinovac from tomorrow, June 23rd to June 25th, from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the following vaccination sites. 1. Auditorium of the Departmental Hospital. 2. Manawar Square. 3. Hospital Tent. 4. San Luis Coliseum. 5. Domiciliary. And 6. Cultural House on the Hill. On Saturday 26 and Sunday 27, attention will only be until 1 p.m. and sites 5 and 6 will not be available on Saturday and sites 4, 5 and 6 on Sunday. It is important to clarify that the second dose of Sinovac for people who were vaccinated during the mass vaccination sessions will take the second dose with the same mass method.
The departmental government announced through Decree 0225 of June 21st, 2021, the new measures that will apply from the date it was issued throughout the island territory. It was defined that commercial establishments in general may provide their services every day between 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. after the previous schedule, and until 11 p.m. any activity they develop must be conducted through the modality of home delivery.
Drugstores will operate 24 hours and 7 days a week. It is prohibited between the hours of 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. The following activities for both tourists and residents on the pathway: wandering and lingering on the road, agglomerations of any kind, consumption of alcoholic beverages in public spaces, and meetings with more than 4 people in residential centers of the island.
And in other news, through social networks, a complaint was filed by tourists against the staff of the Blown Hole, who claim to have been assaulted and retained at the site by tourism providers. The Secretariat of Tourism and the Ombudsman went to the site to listen the community's complaints.
The Secretary of Tourism made agreements with the families that live and provide tourist service in the Blowing Hole, with a positive response from the community.
We are consulting with the families that provide commercial services in the Blowing Hole sector, which is an iconic site in our department. This is going to help the site to grow while they organize themselves and to offer other things like typical dances and improve the current infrastructure, and this is the proposal that we have presented to them today.
On the other hand, the Ombudsman, Roy Gordon, explained how the entity he represents was present at the tourist site.
We are present in this iconic sector of the department, the Blowing Hole, place where a complaint was received, and an immediate reaction together with the Secretariat of Tourism. We agreed with the tourism providers to see what are the problems that they and the visitors of the site have, and we informed them about their duties and rights as tourism providers.
The official also indicated that work tables will be held with the community of the sector.
We are scheduling some work tables in the sector to be able to talk with them and teach them how to prevent future problems, taking into account that although in the sector they provide this service, they have not yet agreed on how the entrance and exit of people will be.
And here's a very good news for the department. The island architecture law was passed with presidential endorsement, declaring it as a cultural heritage of the nation.
The new law, authored by House Representative Elizabeth J. Pang, seeks to rescue and protect about 200 typical island houses that are still standing and recover the traditional architecture as cultural and ancestral activity. The yards, the construction of boats, the knowledge and how to the development of tourist and cultural enterprises around these traditions, as well as the archaeological heritage of the islands, are also included in the law. The national government, through the Ministries of Culture, Housing, City and Territory, as well as the departmental and municipal governments, were empowered to develop programs to protect the typical architecture of the islands and other related activities. The decision comes after 2 years of intensive legislative management, research and concessions with the community of the island and entities related to the promotion, conservation and development of the culture of the country and its departments, but above all, of the long debates, both in the House of Representatives and in the Senate of the Republic. This legislative initiative, which has already been approved as a law of the Republic, only lacks presidential signature.
Some sectors of the community continue to raise their voices against the non-conformities that occur on the island. On this occasion, they have called for a peaceful march starting out from the fire station.
A new peaceful march has been called for tomorrow, June 23rd, as a way to raise voices against the precarious situation of a portion of Providence people. We spoke with some of the spokespersons and participants who expressed the reason behind this new call.
We're going tomorrow in replace of everybody that had passed a terrible time in the hurricane, and that the government and everybody could look down and see directly what takes place on the people who still outside there punishing. Rain come and they're wetting, they have to sleep in water and things like that.
I have the understanding people who suffering, who passing necessity in this moment, talking about the house, and some were living in a tent, and some were living in how you call it, piece of houses. So I have to promote and accompany people, join them people, and put myself in level of them. So that is the reason why I'm going to march tomorrow.
23rd of June is a historic date. Is the date that we decide was to become member of the Grand Colombia that doesn't exist anymore. But it's also an important moment for us to reflect how our treatment has been through this government, and especially to keep an eye on what they have done with San Andres and don't permit this to happen in Providence. A personal invitation to come out and manifest your inconformism with this reconstruction program.
It should be noted that so far the authorities have not asked to suspend the peaceful march. Teleislas News will be following the development of this activity and if they reach any agreement with the local administration.
The attachment of the archipelago to the Gran Colombia took place on the 23rd of June, and it's also the date on which the folkloric festivities of the municipality are celebrated. Tomorrow there will be some cultural activities to commemorate this date, but is this a time to celebrate? Teleislas spoke with the community on the subject.
Tomorrow, the mayor's office will be carrying out cultural activities in commemoration of the municipality's festivities celebrated during this important date for the archipelago. It is this time for celebrations. Teleislas News spoke with the community, and this is what they said.
I feel like it's a good way for the people to get a good distraction and continue because, well, from the Yota time, also I do see no change and nothing, so I don't believe if we got a little event, don't going to be any change either, so let it go.
I don't think this is the moment for that, you know. Right? We got things with more priority than that. The people them who they get wet, for example. Second, pandemic. So why we should that carnival? Is dead they will try to kill you off?
Well, I see it positive because the people in Iran trying to forget about the problem they were having in Providence, all the things that happened to them, quarantine, a hurricane, and that is something that made them think that life keep on ahead and things don't stop now. Well, try go ahead and get out of this way.
They may think nothing make a all big bad. At all. You see what we make both the whole stop them and everything for them. Think we make.
I consider it's a good opportunity for the event, but we have to consider more to prioritize the house them. We need house to live in because you can't go get drunk and go sleep in a car for it cold and it start raining and you wet up and you get sick.
Hello, here are the best sports of the islands. Providence and Santa Catalina are lands of athletes and promise in sports. Despite the difficult situation in the islands due to the devastating hurricanes Iota and Eta that affected the islands, the people in Old Providence fight for a new beginning and show that they have a lot of talent in different sports. An example of this is track and field. And in basketball, with the help of coaches like Hassan Hawkins, one of the objectives is not to be number one, but to live the new experiences and to learn from them, to form better athletes and professionals for the future of the archipelago. The Providence team will be participating in the Under-20 Elite Cup that will be held in Santa Marta. This is what Hawkins told us.
We come represent Providence and San Andres Island by one sub-20 Copa Elite Santa Marta. Our objective for this tournament is, well, if you come land, give the boy them from Freeway Island and the vision alive, make them see say sport is health and sport is important. After sport you can get education and make your life then, you understand? So that is my idea with this process. I started in Young Boy Providence. We start training like pretty January after the disaster we happened in Providence, so I decide to look out for them because, well, not the Providence and we just they rebuild and we can't let them throw down for them take bad words.
Another objective is for the young people to learn and have a new sporting vision that will give them a better future, as Hassan Hawkins said. The revival of basketball is very healthy for veteran athletes of the archipelago. Talking about basketball is motivating, refreshing, and also very good for the health. That is why the veteran players of this sport decided to return to the courts, with a game as a pilot test with expectation to organizing the next veterans tournament in the Barrick sector. This is what veteran player Fidel Howard told us.
I really feel very happy, you know, and motivated because we return back again to all this what we like, the basketball, you know. From we young fellow coming up, basketball is what we sweat, what we think, what we eat, you know. So this is a motion, a motivation for us, and this kind of like I say, starting out, want to see that all the people can come out again and make sport, and because this is health, you know, this is health for all of us. The pandemic come in, but we can't make the pandemic take away and throw it down, you know, so we have to come back out again and start make sport again.
Basketball is a very popular sport in the island department, and it's also practiced by the veterans who enjoy it and also helps to improve their health, as Howard said.